Back then we could afford one color tea towels, single color screen printed. And we decided we were going to branch out a little bit. And so we were like, oh, let's do a sea creature line, which P.S. no one was asking us for sea creatures, number one. But two, we were like, let's do it in blue ink, indigo blue. It'll be so beautiful. It'll stand out. So we launched it. People started ordering them. And then one of our longtime wholesalers wrote to me and said, Stacie, I don't know how to tell you this, but I washed one of your towels and the blue ink is running everywhere.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to sell these towels.
Welcome to the Art Plus Audience podcast.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Art Plus Audience podcast. We're here for season 2, first episode back, and I'm so excited because I'm here with Angie Classen.
Hi.
Also known as my partner in crime at Gingiber and my big sister.
Yes.
You know, so many of you wrote in after the last episode because Angie and I did the finale together for season 1, and people were so excited to hear about our relationship, Angie.
Yeah.
People are always saying we're sister goals, and I'm not gonna lie, it did make me feel pretty good because we weirdly just do well together.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
It's been cool.
And it's so great because since we last did an interview, which was the end of 2024.
Yeah, it's been a while.
A lot has happened in our business at Gingiber and product. And today we're going to talk about what is actually working in our business because it's been I don't know if you heard about it. It's been kind of a weird year economically here in the US. And a lot of businesses are either struggling or they're afraid because they don't know what actually is working in today's market.
Yeah.
So we, like every business, have been kind of holding our breath a little bit, but we have been really determined to make sure that we can make the best decisions when it comes to how to keep our tea towel business, Gingiber, up and running.
Yeah.
And actually even growing, which has been the biggest surprise of all.
Yes. To grow in a year like this has been fantastic, and it's been a lot of effort. Right now, we've grown about 10% year over year, which is phenomenal.
In any climate, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. But especially in light of everything that we've been facing with the economic ups and downs, we've just tried to really stay focused and do the things that are good for our business, and it seems to be working.
And P.S., we're talking just product. We're not talking about licensing. We're not talking about education. We're talking about Gingiber physical product that we sell wholesale and direct customer on our website, and occasionally the Etsy seller too.
Yeah.
Occasionally. It's a little tiny piece of
Those
the pie.
are starting to pick up, actually.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Way to go, Etsy. Come back to us. So, guys, what we want to talk about today is our Mother's Day sale.
Yes.
That we just finished up, and honestly, it knocked our socks off how well it went, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because this year we've seen a big change in customer behavior, as I'm sure many of you have too. And so we were trying really hard to make some pivots in what we've been doing. So last year, we, like many people, sometimes you get into this habit of discounting, and wanting to get customers to buy from you. Sometimes the temptation is to over discount your product in order to pull in those customers. And so what had happened is we had unintentionally attracted a discount bargain shopper.
Give me that coupon code. Give me.
Yeah, and they would be unwilling to buy unless we're having a huge sale, which, as everyone knows in e-com, Q4 is when you are slashing prices, you're giving your best deals, and that's great. But then those customers, when you move into Q1, it ends up being kind of a sticker shock for them because they just bought your product at 40% off in their Boxing Day sale, and now they don't want to pay the full price. And so we found that in January, we saw a significant dip. And we started working with a new group of people who are helping us reposition ourselves. And how are we attracting the right type of customer? So that's kind of where we started the year.
Absolutely. And something that we're also always focused on is the 3 parts of our successful business is the products we're making, the customers we're meeting, and the way we are running the operations side of our business, aka how we're moving like a business. And we are always using data to inform the decisions that we make. And a lot of people shy away from this, especially in the beginning parts of their business, because they're I don't have any data. I'm barely making any sales. So if you don't have data to inform the decisions you're making, you really have to look at the customers you want to attract and where they're at online, where they're shopping. And like we said, we realized we were attracting the coupon buyers, which I love a good coupon, but we need year round to have people who appreciate our product for the value that it is. It's a great product. It's a great tea towel. The designs are amazing. And so that's what we've been focusing on, is attracting those people.
And I actually ran some numbers recently, and I was shocked to learn if I had reduced my discount rate last year for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, just to the rate we're planning to do this year, I could have sold 8,000 fewer tea towels and made the same amount of money.
Isn't that crazy?
And so I was just like, oh, we always are living and learning. But the point that Stacie's making is like, you have to understand your profitability, not just what you're selling in revenue.
Absolutely. And people are often looking at the top line. But what good is it if you make $100,000 in sales if you're spending $99,000 to get there?
Right. It means nothing. And so for Mother's Day this year, our goal was to attract a higher spend customer and be able to do just as much as we've done in the past, but selling fewer times. Because, if you do invest in ad spend or anything like that, every dollar you spend to acquire a customer, it costs you something, right, to get a new customer. And so you want to make sure when they're buying from you, you're recovering that cost and you're making money off of it. And so that was our number one goal for this Mother's Day sale.
So Angie, let's talk about what happened in 2024 versus 2025. So let's talk about how much money we brought in 2024 for Mother's Day, what our ticket average was, and what discounts we were running.
Okay, great. So last year, I'm just going to pull up my data here so I got it. We ran a sale for about the same length of time, which it was just about 2 weeks of time. Last year, we did a 20% off site-wide sale. So that means everything and anything on our site was discounted 20%. No minimum spend, it didn't matter. This year, we did the same length of time of sale, but we did a 20% off with a $90 minimum spend. So the only way that somebody could get that 20% off meant that they had to spend at least $90, which also qualified them for free shipping, which is a double incentive for them. Last year, we actually did 281 orders and we brought in $18,000 just on our discount code. This year, we did 203 orders and brought in $21,500. But here's another key indicator. Last year, total gross sales outside of just the discount code, we did 42,664. This year, we did 46,301. So what we did is we brought in more money with fewer orders, which means when you think about free shipping, things like that, we actually spend about $6 per order in shipping every time we ship an order for free. So that's about $500 overall that we saved in free shipping. We made more money. We got customers willing to spend more, and then they're now in our funnel. And what's awesome is like our returning customer rate both years was about only just 40%. So we're bringing in about 60% new customers off of things like ad spend, organic traffic, blogging, gift guides. These are all the ways that we're bringing in these customers. That means 60% of these sales are now in our funnel. They're getting resold to. They're going to become repeat customers for us. So overall, a huge win.
And ticket average. I don't think you said last year's ticket average versus this one, because this is the big one, guys.
So our ticket average last year was $64.24. This year, our ticket average was $106.39. That's huge.
That's incredible.
Here's why. Our signature product is $24. Okay. So to have a ticket average that's $106, that's 4 times basically what our product is, which means we're selling more to fewer people. We're getting people spending more money. It's a lot more lift for the same amount of work.
And what's wild is, we were anticipating a decline in sales
because
of the economy. So we weren't going into the sale thinking, okay, we're going to grow this year. Our goal literally was to be smarter with how we were attracting people onto our site and to increase the ticket average. So if we still would have thought it was a win if we had this ticket average and had fewer gross sales. We would have been thrilled with that. But what we did is because of how we positioned ourselves, not just with ad spend, but we also have started doing a lot of blogging and pinning. So Angie, why don't you talk about that strategy?
Yeah, so organic traffic is something that everybody wants and that you need. And so ideally, you want to be at about 40% organic, 60% paid traffic if you're doing paid traffic. So for a business like ours, where we do invest in ad spend quite a bit, we need to work on always making sure we're staying at that level. Like right now, we're at a 30-70 split. So a goal right now for us in Q2 is to increase our organic traffic by 10%. That's like my number one goal. And so how am I going to do that? So there's a few different ways, right? So SEO, search engine optimization, is one. And that's something that I'm always interested in because it's something that you can do that just brings people to your website and costs you nothing except your time. But hear me, everything costs you something, right? And time is the thing that I can invest right now in organic to try and bring in more money. So I've been working on SEO. And one of the ways you can do that is through blogging for SEO. So we started doing this. We use a handy dandy ChatGPT, a wonderful tool for those of you who don't use it, just to help us find and figure out what are the terms that people might be looking for when they're searching for tea towels. And so I have a lot of information. I have my ICA, which is Ideal Customer Avatar. Stacie, you want to talk about that tool that you're offering right now?
It's my goodness. Cool. So I have created an ideal customer generator. So whenever I teach Leverage Your Art, which is my signature course, it runs again this August. Mm-hmm. Early on in the course, we're talking about, the 3 M's. You're meeting people, your ideal customer, you're making the right products or art for them, and then you've got to build the business and move like a business. Well, artists like to focus on the design. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they get real giddy about the product. Whether you're manufacturing it or you're licensing it or it's print on demand, they get excited about that. But when it comes to finding an ideal customer, and we go through this lesson, it's like crickets. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I think my ideal customer is a woman. And she likes color and she sleeps at night. And we're like, yes, no, that's everyone. We can't all have the same ideal customer. And so the truth is, when you're in the beginning of your business, trying to figure out who you're marketing to is very hard, because often we're thinking about ourselves. We're thinking, what would I want? How much would I pay for a product? What do I like to use? Well, it turns out oftentimes we're not our own ideal client. Mm-hmm. And so what I did is I created a really great tool that you'll get access to if you take Leverage Your Art, but I'm also thinking about creating a smaller version of it available to everybody. So you can get on this, and it helps you walk through who you are as an artist, like your style, like what you like to create. And it gives you some prompts about who you think might like what you're creating art-wise. And then with a few clicks of a button, it will generate your in-depth ideal customer. Mm-hmm. Give her a name, tell you where she lives, how much money she might make, where she likes to shop, and it'll even generate a list of products that might be a good fit for her. Mm-hmm. And so I've been testing it out with my small group coaching program, Thrive, and in my mastermind, and people are having incredible results. And the truth is, the reason I built it is because it's what we use ourselves.
I use it every single day. Like, I filter every decision for sales strategy and marketing strategy through the lens of what would my ICA want or need from me right now. And we'll talk about some email marketing strategy as well in a few minutes. But ICA is basically where we started whenever we're working on this blog SEO optimization. And so using that tool, understanding our customer, we're putting it in and we're saying, what are things that our customers would want to know from us? And how can we blog and answer those questions? And so that's just the starting point. So I started doing this, been doing it consistently, doing really fun things like gift guides for Mother's Day that we're curating ourselves using our products, things that we know people would love and that are our best sellers, and putting that out there, and then just helping people find what's the thing that you might want for Mother's Day this year. And so we used all of that. And once we created those blogs, then we're making pins out of that blog. Just going into Canva, super simple, strong graphics with, interesting calls to action, and then putting them in scheduling pins in Pinterest. And then, of course, using that same content on Instagram, Facebook, social media, just finding a way to leverage everything that we're doing to really widen the net for our customer. It's a wonderful way to get organic traffic, and Pinterest can be a great way to get some organic traffic.
And P.S., the reason why this matters is because most of us weren't born great marketers, okay? Mm-hmm. I can't realize the opportunities I've had over the years that I missed because I was just like, buy a tea towel. It's a cute tea towel. But now that we're framing it like the best gift for your mother-in-law, for instance, this is kind of what got us started. We've been featured in the New York Times Wirecutter gift guide 2 years in a row, maybe 3, and they put us as a great gift for mother-in-laws. And we were like, oh, that's a really nice positioning. Mm-hmm. And I think that we didn't even realize at the time that what they were getting at is we're not just selling a tea towel. It's who is the person who would love to receive this as a gift, or who would want to buy this to gift to someone? So instead of a subject line just being 8 great tea towels, check it out. It's more like
gifts for the person most difficult to buy for, or who's hard to buy for. We have the perfect gift for you. And so I do it really better when I'm
because we're not saying mother-in-laws are difficult.
No,
not at all. Not at all. Hi, Lynn. Not you.
Never.
No.
Never.
No.
But what we are saying is that there are certain people that are harder to buy for, right? You might have that person in your life who you don't know what to get them, but you want to delight them. Or maybe a friend who you're kind of competitive with, and every time you go to her house, she has the coolest stuff, but then you're like, I brought you a hostess gift. And they're like, and so that's the feeling we're trying to evoke from our people, and we're trying to cast that net wide because we know that's a common problem that people have is I just don't know what to get for this person. And so we're reeling them in through all of our blogging, our social media, our pins, and just trying to get some organic traffic in from people who don't already know about us.
And P.S., we're packing in a lot of information into this episode, but we get really excited.
Yes, we do.
Quick note before we dive back in. If you're listening and thinking, I have no idea who my ideal customer is, you are not alone. That's exactly why I created the Ideal Customer Avatar Generator, a custom tool available for the first time this year inside my course, Leverage Your Art. It walks you step by step through identifying who your art is for, based on your unique style, and generates a detailed customer profile you can use for marketing, product development, and more. You'll get access to this tool when Leverage Your Art opens again in August 2025. Until then, you can learn more about Leverage Your Art and get on the waitlist at leverageyourart.com.
So let me just tell you another thing that matters here. All of this is it's like dominoes, and you like tip one over and everything keeps going. So it's not just who your ideal customer is. It's not just thinking about who you're attracting. It's also thinking about the triggers that makes your person tick. So sales psychology, which is everyone's favorite topic. I've been reading a couple of books on this about like how to sell to people. And in truth, we have the type of products where we are focusing on an identity connection or an emotional response connection with people. So by identifying with like the identity, we're talking a language that only a specific person may respond to. Like my husband wouldn't see that blog post and be like, oh yes, I can't wait to read this blog post. But the person who we're selling to, who is, I won't give you her full name, but our ideal customer, her name is Charlotte. Charlotte, we thought a lot about this. And Charlotte will have an emotional response because she'll be like, yes, I can finally bring a better hostess gift to so-and-so's house and be impressive, but I'm going to act nonchalant about it. Like, oh yes, this whole thing, yes. It's from a brand that I really like called Gingiber, Arkansas, designed, you know.
And our ideal customer wants to be somebody who discovers things unique that not everybody can find everywhere. And so it's really a fun hook for us to be able to use and like then find people who this will meet a need for them. But you have to remember this, like everyone's ideal customer is very different. And if you're trying to build your ideal customer, like our ideal customer, it just isn't going to work.
No, you can't have Charlotte. She's ours.
She's ours. No, but it really doesn't work. We have plenty of people who we've met along the way who are like, oh, you guys do really good tea towels. I'm going to take my art. I'm just going to throw it on a tea towel. And like, they haven't done any research. They haven't even figured out whether or not that's going to appeal to their customer base. And it fails. And they're like, well, why did that fail? And it's like, because you can't just copy and paste somebody else's business. You have to be able to like identify with your customer and your business and what do you actually want to do? What brings you alive? It's not just, oh, we all want to make money. No, it has to be something that you want to do sustainably for years and it brings you joy. And so if that's not what you're doing, then it's not going to really work for you.
And to hit this home and why this matters for Mother's Day, the truth is I'm not our ideal customer. I'm not Charlotte. Even though I launched the tea towel line and I design it, like the reason I do it is because I love creating. I love seeing my art on products, but like that's us from the maker side. The buyer doesn't like get giddy, be like, oh, look at this art on a product. Like that's how we think as the brand. So you have to think about who would love this product and how would you speak to them? Because it's not how you're going to speak to yourself. It's not, you're not selling it to yourself, you're selling it to someone else. And so when we go to our Mother's Day sale, and this was so strategic because once we knew who Charlotte was, it impacted the new designs that we released. Like for instance, we have a hydrangea towel out right now. It's a part of our tea towel club. By the time you're watching this, I think it'll be sold out.
Yeah,
it'll be sold out. But we knew after Atlanta Gift Market in January, which you can watch that episode, hear how awesome that show was. It was just great. We knew looking around at other products and who was stopping at different booths, we're like, this color right here, this blue, what would you call it? Like cornflower blue.
Yeah.
With hydrangeas, this will work for Mother's Day. This will hit Charlotte. Charlotte will love this. She probably has hydrangea bushes growing in her backyard anyway, so she's going to love this. And it's kind of a universal design. It'll appeal to a lot of different people. So we fast-tracked making sure that we had a hydrangea towel ready for Mother's Day, right, Angie?
Right. So like when we're doing our product development, we're always looking well in advance and trying to figure out what's going to appeal to our audience in this particular upcoming season, which I'm sure you all do as you're doing your product development as well. It's just like getting into the head of your buyer and helping, trying to figure out what's it going to take. But anyways, all that to say, there's been a lot that went into getting ready for this sale, and it's stuff that we all have to do. You literally have to think about these things or it doesn't just happen.
But let's talk about this. As we wrap this up, if we were to give someone who's like earlier in their journey 3 things to focus on so that they can improve their average ticket and they can better attract organically whoever their ideal customer is, what would like those tips be? 2 or 3 tips.
So in order to like attract the customer, obviously first you have to know your customer. And so I think the first tip would be to get intimately acquainted with who your buyers are. And if you're like, I don't know, then you need to go out and get face to face somehow with your buying audience, whether that is at a craft fair or doing social media, or you're actually engaging with an audience, or even surveying people who have bought from you. Because surely if you are selling something, someone's bought from you, serving those people and figuring out like, what do you like? What do you not like? Stacie and I were just talking about a funny story this morning about whenever we were early in tea towels, and Stacie, you want to tell them about the indigo blue scenario?
Yeah. So we early on were doing tea towels only in one color, black line work. That's it. Our tea towels didn't look like, okay, this back wall, it's from one of our tea towel designs. I painted it recently as a mural. So a lot of color right now, a lot of movement, but back then we could afford one color tea towels, single color screen printed. And so we would do one big animal on a giant tea towel. And we decided we were going to branch out a little bit. And so we were like, oh, let's do a sea creature line, which P.S. no one was asking us for sea creatures, number one. But 2, we were like, let's do it in blue ink, indigo blue. It'll be so beautiful. It'll stand out. And so we launched this trio because we realized we could sell them in trios and get a higher ticket average, and we could do it with our wholesalers too. So we're like, score. So we launched it. People started ordering them. And then one of our longtime wholesalers wrote to me and said, Stacie, I don't know how to tell you this, but I washed one of your towels and the blue ink is running everywhere.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to sell these towels.
I mean, and that's a perfect example of like, she had a relationship with a retailer who was honest enough to say, hey, like, this isn't working for us. Here's why. It's bleeding all over my whites. Yeah, that's not ideal. But like, that's the thing. When you're starting your business and you're growing your business, you have to be in touch with your customers. Like, you have to know, like, what are you interested in? Like Stacie said, no one was asking us for sea creature tea towels. We still fall into this trap sometimes when we fall in love with something. Actually, I was just hearing from another maker yesterday, and she was saying, it's like the kiss of death the second that I love a product that nobody's asked for, it doesn't sell and it flops. And it's like, we're all prone to that because we fall in love with our designs and we're like, I'm going to be best.
But I'm going to make that fox towel work, dagnabbit. I designed an amazing fox towel, and I think that there were external factors as to why people haven't purchased it. So we're refocusing it for the fall.
Oh, yes.
And I expect each one of you to go take a gander and buy it and tell me that it's not a me problem. It's a you problem. No, I mean that with love. But if you don't have some way to communicate with your customers, to ask them things, because what we had done in this case with the feedback we got from this retailer is we regularly, after they receive an order, we send a follow-up email asking how they liked the order. And she was the only one who actually responded to us at the time and said, well, here's what's actually happening. Then we had the opportunity to fix it. And now we're not selling those details anymore.
No, but that's okay. Like, that's the thing is you have to be willing to receive feedback in order to grow a business. If you want to work just in a little echo chamber, then nothing will happen. Your business won't grow. And so my first tip would be to get like very acquainted with who your customers are and talk to them, get connected with them. So that would be like my first tip. But Stace, what do you think the next tip would be?
Second tip is going to be whenever you're first starting out, even if your volume is much less than like your fellow art BFF who's selling products, you have to actually know your numbers, which no one likes to take the time to sit down and go through the spreadsheet and know their profit and loss statement. And in fact, we didn't really have a profit and loss statement those early years. It was just like how much money came in, how much money is going out. If that's where you're at, that's fine. But you actually need to look at each product you sell and know what your profit is at the end of the day. A lot of people overlook this. And then they'll see someone like us running a certain type of sale and they'll be like, Gingiber did it, so I'm going to run the same sale. But the truth is you may not have the profit margin that we have, because when we were ordering like 20 tea towels at a time, we could not give the discounts that we can give now ordering 1,000 tea towels at a time, because the price of your product decreases typically the more you're able to order at once. So you have to look at your actual numbers and know what your gross profit is before any discounts are coming out. And then you have to determine, well, I can't run a 20% off Mother's Day sale. What can I do realistically?
Yeah. And also like with that is understanding your ticket average, which if you're in Shopify, you can just pull a simple report that tells you what's my ticket average year to date. And that is really important because if your product, like ours, $24 is actually a low cost product. But let's say that your product costs $75. Your signature product is a piece of artwork that's $75 and your ticket average is 105. Well, in order to really connect with those customers, you need to do very different things than somebody selling a $24 item, because it's easy to make a purchase on a cheaper item. Like a $24 item is an easier impulse buy. But if your product is 75, sometimes that takes a little bit more thought and consideration. And so what you should do is understand, what am I putting into this product? What's my cost of my goods? What's my labor cost? If it's original artwork and it costs $400, well, it's a very, very different animal. You may not even want to discount that. Your thing may be completely different. And so you have to look at other businesses in your industry doing what you're doing. And that's a better indicator than just, I'm going to copy this big company. Oh, Target's doing a sale, I'm going to do a sale. We're not even the same. So you have to think about that.
And P.S., I actually created something that you all can get a hold of right now. I created a free email course called Your Profitable Art Launchpad. And whenever you sign up, absolutely free, you got to give me your email address though. I've created pricing calculators, free pricing calculators for original arts, for product, even for licensing, and for running workshops and teaching. So you literally get access to 4 different calculators whenever you get a hold of Your Profitable Art Launchpad. But it's not just the calculators. I walk you through figuring out which path might be the best for you, and how to create a 90-day plan for how to get that up and running, and then how to price your work, because at the end of the day, artists tend to underprice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We have underpriced for years. We actually just increased the price of our signature product that we had the same price for 8 years. We increased it in Q4 of 2024. And we probably should have increased it sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, depending on the item you're selling, most people are not remembering what you sold your product for. You think they are, they aren't. They're busy. So they go onto your website and they're like, oh, it was 18. Oh, now it's 20. Wait a minute. Did they raise their? No, nobody cares. They're just busy doing life. And so if you need to raise your product price by a little bit in order to be profitable, then you need to do that. Otherwise, what do you do?
Otherwise, you have a really expensive hobby.
That's right.
And we don't want that for you. We want you to have a profitable art business. So you can actually find Your Profitable Art Launchpad. You can find it in the notes of this episode, and we'll have it linked there. But I highly encourage you to check it out. And at the very least, use these calculators. They're gold, and they're going to really help you figure out, like, how much can I afford to charge, and how much can I discount? And so with that, I'll say the next time you have a sale coming up, maybe you're going to do something for the 4th of July. Maybe you're gearing up for Q4. Maybe that's where all your attention's going. Go through these notes from this episode and just think about where you're at and what's possible for you if you look at your business through the eyes of your ideal customer.
Yes.
And when you know your numbers, you have something to measure against and grow against. And so maybe today, just be brave and go catch up on the last 5 months of spreadsheets that you haven't gone through. I've been there. When Angie joined my team, I had like a shoebox, and I said, Angie, here are all my receipts. Help me fix this. And she said, oh, good. And look at how far we've come.
So far.
Now we're so far. But I just encourage you that next year could look different for your business because of a little bit of strategy and looking at things differently. And I hope that these best practices will help you see what's working right now to help us grow, and it can help you too.
Absolutely.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at connect@gingiber.com, and my team will take a look at it. But I'd love for you to go ahead and send us a message and let us know what your biggest takeaway was, because we want to know what helps you grow.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Art Plus Audience podcast. Thank you, Angie, so much for being here with me.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Hey, could you do me a favor? Could you subscribe to this podcast and then share it with one of your best art friends? I'd really appreciate it. And then head on over to Instagram and follow me at the Leverage Your Art account, and you can keep up with all of our future episodes. Thank you so much for your support. It means everything to have you here listening and learning. Bye.